There's something that surprises many people after leaving a high control religion. It's not just the loss of certainty, and it's not only the loss of community, it's the way spirituality itself can suddenly feel uncomfortable or even unsafe. Not always immediately, often this shows up later. You might notice a quiet curiosity returning, questions about meaning, about purpose, or the deeper parts of life. Questions that feel natural to ask, and yet at the same time, something in you hesitates. A subtle caution, a sense that engaging with anything spiritual again might somehow pull you back into the same kind of control you worked so hard to leave. If you notice that tension, curiosity on one side, caution on the other, there is nothing strange about it. It's a very understandable response to what your mind has experienced. Inside a high control religion, spirituality rarely exists as a personal exploration. Instead, it's usually structured through authority. There are approved beliefs, approved interpretations, approved ways to experience the sacred. Questions often have predefined answers. Doubts are explained before they can grow, and spiritual meaning is delivered through a system that claims certainty. Over time, something subtle begins to happen. Spirituality stops being a space of exploration. It becomes a structure of guidance and control. This means that when people leave the system, they're not just leaving a set of beliefs, they are leaving the framework through which spirituality was allowed to exist. And because that framework was so closely tied to authority, the mind can begin to satiate spirituality itself with the possibility of losing autonomy. Human beings naturally ask larger questions. Questions about meaning, about connection, about existence, what it means to live a good life. These questions are not created by religion. They are part of being human. But when those questions have previously been managed by a controlling system, your nervous system learns something important. Curiosity can lead to loss of control. So when the system is gone, the caution can remain. You might notice yourself pulling back from ideas that once interested you, avoiding conversations about spirituality altogether, or feeling uneasy when someone speaks with certainty about meaning or truth. This reaction is not cynicism, it's protective intelligence. Your mind is trying to ensure that what happened before doesn't repeat itself. Because of this association, many people move to the opposite extreme for a while. Instead of exploring spirituality cautiously, they reject it entirely. Anything that sounds spiritual can begin to feel suspicious. Language about meaning, energy, consciousness, or purpose may trigger the same internal alarm that religion or religious language once did. This response makes sense. After experiencing control, the mind often protects itself by avoiding anything that resembles the environment where the control existed. But avoiding something entirely is not always the final position people settle into. Often, it's simply a phase of psychological distance, a way for your system to recover autonomy before deciding what, if anything, still feels meaningful to you. One of the quiet changes that happens after leaving is that spirituality if it ever returns, begins to look very different. Instead of a structure that tells you what to believe, it becomes something much simpler. A set of questions, a sense of wonder, a way of reflecting on life's larger patterns. There is no authority required for that. No system that needs to be adopted. No identity that needs to be claimed. For some people, spirituality slowly reappears as a kind of curiosity about existence itself. For others, it doesn't return at all, and that is also completely valid. There is no requirement to replace what you left with another framework. The important shift is this: meaning becomes something you relate to, not something that is imposed on you. If spiritual ideas ever begin to interest you again, it can help to approach them in a very different way from before. Not as answers, but as questions you are free to hold. Questions you are allowed to explore slowly. Questions you are also allowed to leave unanswered. For many people, the safest place to begin is simply noticing what resonates with your own experience and what does not. No commitment, no conclusion, just quiet curiosity. And if something ever starts to feel familiar in the wrong way, too certain, too authoritative, too prescriptive, you are allowed to step back again. Your autonomy now matters more than arriving at any particular belief. After leaving a high control religion, it's completely natural for spirituality itself to feel complicated. Curiosity and caution often appear together. Part of you may still care about meaning. Another part of you may want to protect the independence you worked hard to reclaim. Both responses can exist at the same time. You don't need to resolve that tension quickly. You don't need to decide what spirituality means to you right now. And you certainly don't need to replace one framework with another. For now, it's enough to recognize that curiosity and caution can both be signs of something healthy. A mind that is learning how to explore meaning without giving away its autonomy again.